The Odyssey, Books 13 and 14. Odysseus returns to Ithaca and visits his old swineherd, the pig farmer. Odysseus finishes telling his story to the Phaeacians, and he is ready to set off for Ithaca. King Alcinous presents Odysseus with his many gifts, and they all retire for bed, because in the morning the men will sail Odysseus to his home. As soon as the first rosy fingers of dawn appeared, they made haste to the ship. The king then sacrificed an ox to Zeus to ensure safe travels for their heroic guest Odysseus. Odysseus turned his head ever and anon to the shining sun, impatient for his setting, for he was eager to be gone. As a man longs for his meal when all through the day his brown oxen draw the plow over the fallow field, until his knee fail under him while he plods along, and he is glad to see the sunset and leave him to his dinner, so Odysseus was glad to see the sunset. Odysseus thanks the king and his companions for all of their hospitality, and wishes for a safe journey home to his waiting wife and son, whom he left so many years ago. Once Odysseus was on the ship, he fell into a deep sleep, a sleep he had not felt in a long time. He slept quietly, forgetting all of his troubles. Once the men saw the shore of Ithaca, they approached it and laid Odysseus sleeping on a white cloth, surrounding him with his gifts, and left the sleeping king to wake at home. When Poseidon saw that Odysseus had been taken safely across the sea home, he was very angry and went to confront Zeus for letting this happen to his sworn enemy. Poseidon told Zeus that he did not think it was right that immortal men could go against his godly wishes when it came to the fate of his enemies, and he asked Zeus for permission to punish the Phaeacians. At first Poseidon wanted to drop a mountain on the Phaeacians, but Zeus said that was too harsh. So he turned their returning ship into stone as soon as it was visible from the shore. The Phaeacians knew that they had upset the gods with their actions, so they performed a sacrifice to Poseidon to restore their standing with all gods. Odysseus awoke on the beach and was confused by his surroundings. He was mad at the Phaeacians for leaving him because he was not sure if they had actually returned him to Ithaca. So Odysseus hid his many gifts in a cave because he did not want to leave them, but they were too heavy to carry all by himself in search for information. Once his gifts were stored, he set out to find the closest city. While walking, Odysseus saw a young girl, actually a disguised Athena, and asked her what country he found himself in. The girl said that any visitor to this famous land should know its name, because its power had been known throughout the area, and even to Troy. She then revealed its identity to be Ithaca. Odysseus did not let his excitement show, but said that he had indeed heard of this country and its many accomplishments. Athena Bright Eyes is proud that Odysseus is careful with protecting his identity, so she transforms herself into a beautiful goddess so that Odysseus will know he has been tested and rewarded for his consistent favor with the gods. She says to Odysseus, "Say not one word, either to man or woman living. Don't tell a soul that you have come back from your wanderings, but suffer all in silence, and put up with the violence of the wicked men." Athena was pleased with the way that Odysseus handled himself in not revealing his identity, even to the goddess, and so she showed herself in her purest form, exciting Odysseus, who had missed his protector. Athena and Odysseus form a plan for how he will handle the men that have overtaken his home for the last 3 years, attempting to steal away his wife Penelope. Odysseus asks Athena to help him overtake these men who have corrupted his home. He says to her, "Stand by my side, give me unfailing courage, as when we tore the pretty veil from Troy's head. If you stand by me in earnest, bright eyes, I could fight 300 men." Athena promises to help her beloved Odysseus and disguises him as an old beggar, so that he can go about his business without being recognized. Athena instructs Odysseus to go visit his old swineherd while she goes to retrieve Telemachus from the land of Menelaus. At first, Odysseus is worried as to why Telemachus would have left Ithaca, but Athena assures him she was with him on his journey. In your composition notebooks, take the following notes for Book 13. Main idea number 1. The Phaeacians transport a sleeping Odysseus home safely. Number 2. Poseidon punishes the Phaeacians by turning their ship to stone just offshore. Number 3. Odysseus is not sure he is home until Athena visits him. Number 4. Athena and Odysseus come up with a plan for the suitors. Odysseus must see the swineherd, and Athena will go to get Telemachus from Menelaus. And finally, number 5. Athena transforms Odysseus into a beggar to conceal his identity. Continuing with Book 14. Odysseus approaches his old farmhouse, where Eumaeus, his overseer, greets him. Upon greeting him, Eumaeus laments his long-lost master who is still away, and how he is now forced to tend Odysseus's pigs for other men's bellies. Eumaeus is very generous to the beggar that just appeared on his door, and Odysseus is grateful that the man he left in charge of his fortune has taken such great care of his business, and he still respects his master, even though he is yet to return. Eumaeus tells his guest about why Odysseus left, and how since he has been gone, many men have started to believe he is dead, leading them to flood his house, eat away his fortune, and try to manipulate his wife Penelope. Eumaeus, too, does not think Odysseus is alive, and he tells his guest that there is no way he could have accurate news of the lost warrior. Odysseus then declares to Eumaeus, "Within this very lictang, Odysseus will return, as the old moon is waning and the new moon is rising, and he shall take vengeance upon all who here dishonor his wife and his proud son." Eumaeus is hesitant to listen to what the beggar Odysseus has to say, but he does lament the fate that is about to meet Telemachus. He says that he feels sorry for him, not only for what he has lost, but because the men are lying in wait to kill him upon his return. Odysseus then tells Eumaeus that he is going to tell him of the journey he has been on throughout the seas and lands. And he tells Eumaeus a story very similar to what he has actually been through, but he is sure not to reveal his true identity. This is just another instance of Odysseus getting the opportunity to brag about his accomplishments without having to be wholly honest about his faults. Odysseus tries to make a deal with Eumaeus that if Odysseus does return, then Eumaeus will have to give him, the beggar, a new coat. But if Odysseus does not, then Eumaeus can banish him. Eumaeus says that no deal shall be made, because he would never turn away a man in need of food, clothes, and a place to sleep. This pleases Odysseus very much. Eumaeus encourages Odysseus to eat and get his fill, and Eumaeus says, "Eat away, dear heart alive, and enjoy what we have to offer. The Lord gives, and the Lord takes away, as it pleases him, for he can do all things. The beggar Odysseus tells a brief tale of how he had met Odysseus on the battlefields of Troy, and he speaks highly of their hometown hero. Eumaeus is not surprised by the way Odysseus treated the man and offers him a cloak and a bed to stay the night. In your composition notebooks, take the following notes for Book 14. Number 1. Odysseus meets Eumaeus, dressed as a beggar. Eumaeus feeds him, and they swap stories. Number 2. Odysseus, disguised as a beggar, spends hours talking about the great and wondrous Odysseus, the hero of the Trojan War. He tells tales of having met the clever and kind Odysseus, and that there never was a better man in all the world. Again, an opportunity for Odysseus to brag about himself. Number 3. Odysseus does learn valuable information from the swineherd, and he knows that there is loyalty in the man.